Hi, hello there. Would you like to hear the story about Mr. and Mrs. Merritt, a law case regarding rebuttable presumption in intention to create regulation? So, if you want to hear, then let's move on to the story.
The story begins with a marriage between Mr. and Mrs. Merritt. They married in 1941 and they lived happily ever after. They also bought a house and held their matrimonial home in joint names between them. However, in 1966, Mr. Merritt was caught cheating with another woman and they fought. Thus, he left the family home and Mrs. Merritt to live with another woman. Upon the leaving of Mr. Merritt, he agreed to pay to Mrs. Merritt $40 per month. At Mrs. Merritt's request, he signed a document confirming that when she had repaid the balance on the mortgage, he would transfer the matrimonial home into her sole name. After several years, Mrs. Merritt paid off the mortgage and successfully acquired a declaration that the house belonged to her. However, out of the blue, Mr. Merritt come and appeal for the house ownership. In his claim, Mr. Merritt contended that agreement was a domestic arrangement between husband and wife, and there was no intention to create legal relation, and as such, there was no enforceable contract. Besides, he also argued the purpose contract was insufficiently certain to be enforceable by the court, and that Mrs. Merritt had failed to provide consideration for his promise. Then, Mrs. Merritt argued that given they were in the process of separating, the presumption of there being no intention to create legal relations did not apply.
So, I believe both of the parties, Mr. Merritt and Mrs. Merritt, had an intention to create legal relation in this contract as they were separate. And they also signed a contract showing that they are serious to enter a contract. Thus, this shows that Mr. Merritt's claim regarding the non-intention to create legal relation is unapplicable. So, to conclude my story, this case is an example of rebuttable presumption in intention to create legal relation, as sometimes family agreement or domestic agreement also counts or could be enforced as a contract by the law.